to deal with. We're starting to see this sort of sex positive movement that's sort of happening in America again, and a lot of people kind of stepping into these open relationships in the age of Tinder. There's sort of this casuality that's sort of encouraged. And what I hear in this is we have a real relationship. It's really serious. But my girlfriend is being honest with me, telling me she's sexually attracted to somebody else, asking for my permission to sleep with him, and assuring me that I'm still the guy she wants to be with, but she just wants this to be a physical fling on the side. Complicated thing though, right?
Right. There are couples who do this. There are couples who have an open relationship.
Right.
There are couples polyamory. I know that this does occur.
Yes.
Right? And there are couples who can pull it off.
Yes.
This is not one of them.
Right. Yeah, right there.
And here's the thing, to the listener, I want you to know that my feedback here is coming from a place of love and support.
Yeah.
It's going to come off a little brutal, but there's a lot of things in here that just concern me. Mm-hmm. Number one, right off the bat, you're not going to be okay with this.
Nope.
Hypothetically, if this were to happen, you are not going to be okay with that. And I know that simply because you are writing, asking for advice.
That's right.
If that's your starting point, once this happens, it is not going to go well for you.
No.
And the other thing that really bothered me about this, and maybe I just misread it or misinterpreted this, but I don't know what all you have already talked about, but the part where you're saying that a week ago she went to hang out with this guy and she told him about this.
Right.
That struck me because that's a behavior.
Right.
She is already taking action.
Yeah.
Unless that was already discussed with you that she was going to tell him about this. When I read that, what I'm hearing her do is I'm taking action already without having discussed this.
Right.
That to me is a very bad sign. To me, look, my friend, it feels like you are kind of being held hostage here.
Mm-hmm. And I can see that, Nick, because she kind of comes back to assuring him, hey, I want to be with you. Hey, I want to be with you. I even want to marry you, and hey, this is just my last hurrah. And hey, I wasn't attractive in high school, but this is like really important to me. And it's like, there's a lot of salesmanship that seems to be happening here. And
sleep with one of my friends instead.
Yeah. Here, I'll offer you a sacrifice. You can have sex with one of my friends. And it's like, it's becoming more and more, and he's very clearly saying, I don't want that. And so now she's making offers and she's making overtures. And again, that's not to say that she's bad or manipulative or anything like that, but it is to say there is clearly a one-sided desire in this. And I think Nick's point is very, very evident here. The fact that you are writing in, the fact that you are resistant and that you are struggling with this and that this is not natural to you implicitly teaches us that you're not going to be okay with this. It's not a desire in you. Now, if there's a small amount of sexual curiosity, to fantasize about this and to think about it, sure, you're human. That's a very natural thing. But when you're running this through your emotional filter and you're feeling like this is foreign to how I understand love, this is foreign to how I understand relationships, this is not the way I would describe my life, guess what? When this happens, it's going to feel like an out-of-body experience. You're going to be lost and unmoored and very confused.
Yes.
And it is going to be something that actually causes harm. I do not recommend it.
Yeah. In our last podcast, I said on the air that I am not in the business of making predictions because I am wrong about them almost always.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind because right now I'm going to make a prediction.
Okay.
I'm going to completely go backwards on everything I just said.
Yeah.
In the last podcast. If this were to happen, here's what I think is going to happen. Mm-hmm. We had just talked, in the person who wrote in the importance of confidence. Okay. You are already feeling a sense of insecurity about this.
Right.
Once this happens, that insecurity is going to go through the roof.
It's going to be magnified.
Whatever confidence that you did have now is going to drop tremendously.
Right.
On the other hand, on her side of this, she's going to have sex with someone new. That's always exciting.
Right.
It's not always good, but it's always exciting.
Confidence boost.
Right.
Yeah.
There's going to be the release of endorphins. That dopamine is going to go. That oxytocin, which is the neurotransmitter associated with love and bonding, that happens during sex. Right? So from her perspective, at the end of this, she's going to have, on one hand, this new lover that I just had sex with, and it was exciting and it was fun. And on the other hand, my boyfriend of 2 years,
who's now more insecure,
who's more insecure and has low self-confidence.
Right. It's going to be...
That is not a recipe for a long-term relationship right there.
Exactly. And I agree with that prediction. And if I can give some advice to the writer to be very on the nose about it, here's the deal, brother. You are going to have to make a very hard choice, because I see in this a woman who's already pulling away. She's already making a bed to sleep in, metaphorically. And I think that this is a tough situation for you. And I can tell that you want to give in, because you say it at the end, I don't want to lose her. But this is the devil's wager. You cannot win this fight. And so I think you've got to take a stand for yourself. Now, can you forbid her to sleep with others? You can say, I'm not available for an open relationship. If that is something you want, all I ask is that we break up. And you've got to be willing to risk that. You've got to be willing to state, this is my value. This is what I'm available for. This is what a consensual relationship with me looks like. If you choose not to be a part of that, I understand, I respect you, I care for you. Go about your way. But brother, you cannot play this game scared. And right now I see that. I see him playing this game scared. He's negotiating with somebody who has a hostage.
Yeah.
You know, and it's his heart that's being held hostage. And you have to cut and say, you know what? This is what I'm available for, period. And if she doesn't accept that, then you have to be willing to let it end. Because guess what? Like it or not, buddy, you're going to lose her. Okay? You're going to lose her in some sense. The relationship you currently have is about to die and is going to change. And either it's going to be you guys go into this new evolution where now she's allowed to date around, which is very painful and very hard, and I don't think it's going to work out, or it's going to be that you break up and she goes about her business and sows her wild oats. Because she says she needs her last hurrah, then you're not ready for this relationship.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that. That was something that stuck out to me too, was the whole last hurrah thing.
Yeah.
Like, when you get into a serious relationship, that part of the brain, the limbic system, doesn't just turn off.
Right.
Okay, so the limbic system is the part where if I'm driving down the road and I see a young, attractive female out jogging,
Right.
that limbic system tells me right away, like, you need to mate with that woman.
Right.
She looks healthy. She
Right.
can bear the offspring.
And that's
it's a
Darwinian
drive.
evolution.
Right.
That's not a moral decision. It's an automatic thought.
That just naturally happens. That doesn't go away
Right.
once you're in a committed relationship.
Right.
What happens is we've got the frontal lobe part of the
Right.
brain, which is the adult responsible part of the brain
Yes.
that jumps in and governs the limbic system
Yeah.
and says, okay, yes, she's very attractive, but you're in a committed relationship.
Right.
You can't take those actions.
Right.
What I'm reading here is she doesn't seem ready for that committed relationship.
That's right.
Because that part of the brain that is not governing the limbic system. She's
Yeah.
saying, I should have sex with that guy. I want to do that.
And you know, the point that I'll make here, just to can bring that point all the way home. She says that to him, Nick. She says, I've never been in a long-term relationship. He says, I've been in a couple of these. She doesn't know what it is to be in a long-term relationship. She is treating this like it's still very casual. And all of her hopes and wishes are lovely. She says, oh, I think we'll get married. Listen, buddy, you know what the odds are that she's going to marry the first guy she's been in a serious long-term relationship with while she still wants to sleep with other guys? This thing is not stacking up well. There are lots of red flags that tell me the things that you're holding on to are false promises. They are empty promises. She can't deliver on these promises because she's not even aware of her own relational maturity. She doesn't even know what she lacks. But you can see it. We can see it. And you've got to do some self-care and some guarding of your own heart because you are being set up to fail and you're going to have to make a hard decision. I'm sorry that that's what you're facing, but I don't think that this is going to work for you. Now, to all the listeners out there who are preparing their hate mail, that are about to say, you know what, you guys are primitive, you guys are old-fashioned. There's a lot of people that successfully navigate these waters. You're absolutely right. There are a lot of people that successfully navigate these waters. And I know very many of them, actually. I've had lots of patients that are swingers, you know, or have open relationships. I have friends that are this. And here, without a doubt, is the one thing they all agree on. It should be honest. It should be consensual. That's the thing they'll all say, that's
Right.
the ground they'll die on, is that it should be honest, it should be consensual.
Right.
This is not that. And I think that if you're out there and you live that kind of a lifestyle, you're polyamorous, you're a swinger, you're open, you're casual, totally fine.
Yeah.
There's no way you disagree with us that a consensual relationship is the bedrock of this. And that's
Absolutely.
not what this is.
Yeah, and being manipulated into consent is not consent.
Right. threatened into it is not consent.
And also to you, the listener, if you're thinking that, well, this may be the only way of saving this relationship, that's not consent either.
No. The relationship's
that's
already
a
gone.
last-ditch effort to try to save this.
You lose this incarnation of your relationship either way. It will be a different relationship on the other side of this tunnel. So no matter what, it's coming to an end. If you want to have any hope of a future relationship that resembles this one, you're going to have to draw that line in the sand and explain what you're available for.
Right. You need to value you above anybody else.
Yep, be fearless.
Value your mental health, value your emotional security, and that should take precedence. And if, do whatever you want. You're an adult. You'll make whatever decision, and I hope you write back and let us know how it goes. But however, whatever decision you make, you need to make a decision that is going to be supportive of you first and no one else. And if she's not the one for you, if she's not ready for a healthy relationship, look, there's like 8 billion people on the planet, right? Like you didn't just pick the best woman, right? I mean, there's so many other women out there that do want the same thing you want.
That's right.
And you can be happy.
Yeah.
So don't think that this relationship is the end all be all and you have to save this, otherwise your life is going to be miserable. That's complete bullshit.
Right. And macroscopically, Nick, to zoom out a little bit and not just speak to this particular writer and his unique situation, but to all the listeners, it is very normal, I think, in this day and age for every person that's in a serious relationship to ask themselves, would I be comfortable with this? This is common conversation now. It's not taboo. It's not forbidden. It's a normal lifestyle choice. And I think, again, if you're out there and you're thinking about this, a thing as a therapist, if you came, and I've had this happen, Nick, I've had couples come to me and say, we haven't opened our relationship yet. We're here to talk about it because we're trying to be healthy and proactive. And things that I'll ask them to consider are thought exercises, right? Mm-hmm. One movie that I'll ask people to watch is a movie called Extract. And it's actually a popular movie, and it's about a guy and his wife, and they're not working out really well. And he sets her up to have a casual encounter with somebody else. And he's doing that so he can have a casual encounter, kind of like the girl in the story is. But it all backfires, and it turns out it hurts him very deeply, and it becomes this very complicated thing. And I think it's a really good visualization of what could go wrong. Now, if you watch that movie or things like it, and you don't relate to any of that, then you might be a good candidate for this. But you need to understand that while we use words like open and casual, and it sounds flirty and sexy and fun, and we can all relate to it with a little bit of our brain, you need to understand that by and large, the human population across the world in all cultures and all manifestations over all time tends to be monogamous. That's not for religious reasons, though religion often enforces it. It's not for political reasons, though politics often enforces it. It's because of Darwinian evolution, and it has to do with how we take care of our young and how we mate and make families and create lifestyles. We're wired for this. It's possible that you're not wired for that. It's possible that you can transcend that wiring. But accept that it's going to be transformative no matter what. Mm-hmm. It is going to be unnatural. It's going to be a rebirth experience, and you might find that invigorating and exciting. But you need to do a lot of thinking and thought experimenting before you cross that void, because you don't know who you will be on the other side of it, and at least take it seriously.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for writing in. This is a tough one. I feel for you. This is not going to be easy, regardless of what decision you choose to make. But please follow up with us.
So, Nick, it's so funny because we're talking about swinger sex this time, and we're talking about how to get divorced confidence back, and we're talking about how women ought to dress modestly, and we're talking about how you can feel more manly or make a guy feel more manly. And it's funny because as I look at all this, I realize how interconnected they all are. Like, they answer each other's questions. How could you make your guy feel more manly? Not what the fourth question is doing. Don't do that. How can I boost my confidence? Don't do what that guy's doing in the fourth question. Like, that's a very interesting dynamic that you could actually answer a lot of the other questions by what's going on in this last one.
That's actually really good. That's an interesting observation. I didn't even catch that.
Yeah,
they all kind of tie
answer
together.
Each other, you know. But I think to all of our writers this week, wow, guys, great questions, and they're so real and they're so honest. And we just want to encourage you, if you're out there and you're listening to this, you've never written into the show, no question is too big, no question is too small. get those in here. We want to chew on it with you. We want to live with you, and we want to hear back. How did you use it? Did you use it? And